Alright, so we're going to go through section 38. We'll skip any videos along the way since now you have free access to this online software, so I'll let you watch those on your own time. So now we got the introduction to the digestive anatomy. We're going to talk about the two separate regions. We break the digestive tract into upper and lower, and when we refer to the digestive tract, we call it the alimentary canal. So we have an upper alimentary canal, and then we also have a lower alimentary canal. This division takes place at the inferior portion of the stomach. So right there at the stomach we have a thing called the pyloric sphincter, and anything above that is upper alimentary canal, anything below that is lower alimentary canal. And then we have a couple of structures along the way that aid or are accessories to this digestion process. Up top we can see the salivary glands, then we've got down below we've got the liver, the gallbladder, and the pancreas. Food will enter the mouth through the oral cavity, then it will pass into the pharynx back here. The pharynx is a shared cavity, so at this point we could be using for food or for air passage, and then we make the decision to either go down into the larynx for air or down into the esophagus for a bolus of food. Once we head through the esophagus, there's a structure not shown here, which is the diaphragm. That diaphragm would then have an esophageal hiatus where the diaphragm would pierce through it. That esophagus then attaches to the stomach here. Stomach continues on, has a curve on the left that you can see from here, which is actually the right, and on the other side we call one of them the greater curvature, one of the lesser curvature. The stomach then joins the small intestine. That small intestine is divided into three regions. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And then we've got the large intestine, which we divide into four main regions, where we join up with the rectum, and then finally through the anal canal. When we look at the alimentary canal, the composition is almost the same all the way through. The only exception is going to be the stomach, where we add an additional layer. But the main layer, the main makeup of this is going to be the same. So on the inside we've got lumen. From there we have mucosa. That mucosa will be consistent of epithelial tissue lining the cavity, the lumen, and then we've got some connective tissue along with that. Then we've got the submucosa being mostly areolar tissue, and then we have a muscularis layer outside of that. You'll notice that muscularis layer has two separate layers there. The inner is going to be a circular layer, with the outer being a longitudinal layer, and outside of that we have the serosa, or in this case the peritoneum, which is similar to the pericardium or the pleura in other regions of the body. When we get to breaking these things down, when we're breaking food down, we've got different accessory organs, and they'll all contribute slightly different products to this process. The saliva, which is mostly water, but we've also got some enzymes in there, some salivary amylase, and these will help us break down starches. So right in the beginning, we're breaking down food right out of the gate, both mechanically and chemically. And the difference there, mechanical is going to be something like chewing or moving things around with your tongue, whereas chemical is simply just that. You're using the hydrochloric acid in your stomach and the enzymes, and you're trying to just break things apart without the aid of a mechanical assistant. So saliva is our very first contact. Then we hit into the stomach, where we've got hydrochloric acid and enzymes. We're trying to get this bolus of food, so when we chew things we turn into a bolus. The bolus heads down the esophagus. We hit the stomach. We're trying to turn that bolus into a thing we call chyme. That chyme then gets moved around inside of the stomach, where we head from there into the small intestine. This is where we meet up with the products from the liver, and that liver produces a thing called bile. So these bile salts are used to emulsify fats, and if emulsify is new to you, that's a fancy word for surround or encapsulate these fats. We basically surround them, and that allows exposure to all 360 degrees of that fat, so we can break them down a little bit easier. Then we also, in that exact same spot, join up with the pancreas, and that pancreas is producing those pancreatic enzymes. Now the pancreas is an endocrine and an exocrine, but mostly exocrine when you look at the cellular makeup. I don't know about what production is, but the cellular makeup is mostly cells that are producing things to go into the digestive system. So enzymes and ions, and those are going to help break things down. Then we get into the intestines themselves, and we've got different glands in there, different enzymes in there, mostly to produce mucus to protect the intestines, as well as the enzymes to assist in breaking down those food particles. Here's our production of digestive juices. There's your salivary glands, your stomach, gallbladder, liver, pancreas, and of course your intestines. That is the end of the introduction. Now we will continue on into the oral cavity for our next video.